How many black lives will you sacrifice to arrest Donald Trump? That was the question I asked you on Monday here on the Will Cain Podcast. It was a hyperbolic way of making a point about priorities. Let us dive in, if we can, to the priorities of Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg. Alvin Bragg is a district attorney who has been funded by George Soros. George Soros has become a buzzword where on the left, if you invoke his name, I guess it's a bit like Voldemort. You are immediately branded as an anti-Semite or, in the alternative, a hack. Meaning, they seem to think George Soros is the all-encompassing boogeyman of the right and the explanation for every societal ill. Who is George Soros? George Soros is a billionaire with fundamental ideological beliefs in progressive politics, and he is very active in deploying his capital into advancing progressive beliefs, not just in the United States, but on the world stage at large. Here's just one example. There was a report yesterday by Fox News' Griff Jenkins that yet another group of Chinese nationals was caught coming across the southern border. Those Chinese nationals were turned over not to Border Patrol, but to a NGO, a non-governmental organization. These NGOs often take the form of charities, and they play an active role in, for example, our immigration crisis. They bring illegal immigrants into the country. They help acclimate them, find them homes, all of it done under the guise of charity and empathy. But they incentivize and smooth out the wrinkles of the process for an illegal immigrant making himself a resident of the United States of America. The really odd thing about it is the United States government helps fund NGOs, along with private charities like those of George Soros. So the United States government, me, you, our tax dollars, goes to help fund greasing the wheels of the illegal immigration crisis. Then, by the way, the United States government uses our tax dollars to ostensibly stem the illegal immigration tide, one that is fueled by the NGOs that they helped fund. It's a cute little trick of our tax dollars that is a self-feeding crisis, a self-feeding problem. That's just one of the ways in which George Soros has played an active role in funding these various NGOs. He's also helped fund the election of district attorneys across this country, from Dallas to Houston to Los Angeles to New York City. And along with that, these district attorneys, these prosecutors, have adopted an ideology of bail reform, of not prosecuting crimes, of letting people back out onto the streets. It's had an effect. These ideologues have been elected. Name your big city in America, and most likely the lead prosecutor has been politically funded by George Soros. His ideological vision enacted on a city-by-city basis when it comes to your safety. One of those district attorneys is New York City's Manhattan District Attorney, Alvin Bragg. Now, since Bragg has been elected DA, this is what's happened in the city of New York. Felony crimes are up their highest since 2006, 170,000 felonies in 2022. You look at it across the board. Major crime is up 22% year over year. I'm going to break that down. Robberies up 37%. Subway crime up 30%. You're looking at arrests down since 2019. That's not because crime has gone down. That's because crime enforcement has gone down by the lead prosecutor in New York. Recidivism, putting people back on the streets, on the rise. Repeat criminal offenders, on the rise. And numbers don't really tell the full story. I just did a quick Google search of crime headlines in New York City just from the last couple of days. Let me just share with you some of these headlines. Man fatally shot in Brooklyn in broad daylight. That's the New York Post. Brooklyn assassin in New York City Housing Authority uniform shoots rival That's the New York Daily News. Manhattan arsonist sets 2 NYPD cars on fire. 1 man killed, another injured in bodega shootout. Queens smoke shop worker killed. That's all in about a 3-day span here that fits into these crime stats of a city that is once again slipping into the 1980s and the 1990s. Crime is on the rise the way you haven't seen in decades in New York. Now, the world is full of priorities and the world is full of choices. When you have finite resources, you do not have endless numbers of choices. So, when that's the case, your choices reflect your priorities. It's a zero-sum game. What I give to A, I cannot give to B. Alvin Bragg has chosen not to give law enforcement resources to prosecuting these repeat criminals that end up causing the safety of every New Yorker to be in jeopardy. Instead, what he has devoted resources to is a weak misdemeanor that he is most likely going to unsuccessfully attempt to charge up to a felony and probably lose all of the above cases on the expiration of statute of limitations in the pursuit of Orange Man Bad. Donald Trump has become the left's singular obsession. And they are so obsessed with repeated failed attempts to bring down Donald Trump that they will sacrifice almost anything, including the lives of black New Yorkers. If you give resources to chasing down Donald Trump for an unlikely conviction of a misdemeanor, you rob resources of officers and prosecutors of taking real hardened criminals and putting them in jail. It is a reflection of priorities. And that leads us to the question, how many black lives will you sacrifice in pursuit of Orange Man Bad? Hey, it's Will Cain. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News channel on YouTube. It's the best way to get our latest interviews and highlights. And click to subscribe to the Will Cain Podcast for full episodes right now.